I never imagined I would be deceived by someone I had never met, someone whose entire life I only glimpsed through emails and pictures. At 46, I thought I understood the digital world enough to protect myself. But he was different, patient, charming, and meticulous. He spoke of investment opportunities, of trust, of partnership. Slowly, I began to believe him. I sent money in small increments, convinced that each contribution would secure my future. At first, the returns seemed plausible. His emails were consistent, professional, persuasive. He created a web of legitimacy, official-looking documents, references, plausible excuses when things were delayed. He made me feel like I was part of something bigger, something important. I trusted him not only with my money, but with my hopes and dreams. Then one day, everything vanished. The investments were a lie, the accounts empty, the emails stopped. I felt foolish, humiliated, and broken. More than that, I felt betrayed. Someone I had trusted, someone I had believed in, had manipulated me completely. The anger was immediate, sharp and consuming, but it was mingled with disbelief and profound sadness. For months, I tried to move on. I rebuilt my life, bit by bit, focusing on work and personal stability. But at night, when the world was quiet, the questions returned. Who was he really? How many others had he fooled? And most importantly, could I ever uncover the truth? I began tracking, quietly at first. Forums, news reports, online fraud registries. Any clue, any trace, became a thread I followed. He was meticulous, but even the most careful liar leaves a footprint. Years passed. The obsession simmered quietly, but it never left. Then, unexpectedly, he contacted me. His message was hesitant, almost contrite. He claimed to have changed, to desire something genuine, a real connection this time. My first instinct was skepticism, but a part of me was intrigued. Here was the man who had ruined me, offering a chance to reach out, to explain, to apologize. But I did not respond immediately. I spent hours analyzing his words. He wanted trust again, but this time I was in control. I would allow him to believe I was naive, eager to forgive, willing to reconnect. In reality, I was calculating, planning my next move carefully. He did not know I intended to reveal his true self, to uncover his identity, and to ensure that no one else would ever fall victim to his deception. The first step was crucial. I needed proof. I needed to see him, to confirm that the man behind the words was the same one who had scammed me. The idea of a video call came to me slowly, a way to lure him into revealing himself while maintaining control. I crafted my response to appear warm, almost forgiving, carefully balancing curiosity with suspicion. The tension was unbearable. Every message I sent, every word I typed, was a calculated step closer to discovering the truth. He responded, eager, hopeful, unknowing. I had him exactly where I wanted. Yet even as I felt the thrill of control, a part of me trembled. The man who had caused me so much pain now seemed fragile, human, almost pitiable in his desire for redemption. But I reminded myself, the past could not be ignored. Justice had to be served, not vengeance. The days that followed were filled with quiet anticipation. Each reply, each interaction, tightened the web. I knew the moment of revelation was near. I felt a mix of fear, excitement, and righteous indignation. Every scenario played in my mind. What if he refused the call? What if he suspected my motives? Yet I remained calm, patient, poised. And then the moment came. I requested the video call, carefully worded to make it seem like a test of sincerity, a way to finally believe in him. He agreed, unsuspecting, eager to prove his honesty. My heart raced, not from fear, but from the intoxicating mix of suspense and the promise of truth. For the first time in years, I would see him face to face, not the image he had fabricated online, but the real man who had orchestrated my financial ruin. And when I did, I would have the power to turn the tables completely. The web of lies he had spun for so long was about to unravel, thread by thread. And I would be the one holding the scissors. The day of the video call arrived, and I felt a mix of nerves and excitement I hadn't experienced in years. I carefully prepared, making sure my background looked casual, trustworthy, and entirely unremarkable. I wanted him to believe everything was genuine, that I was the same vulnerable woman he had once deceived. But inside, I was calm, focused, every nerve alert to catch the truth. He appeared on my screen exactly on time. His smile was familiar, smooth, charming, a mask I had come to know too well. He spoke quickly at first, eager, trying to show sincerity. He admitted past mistakes, pleaded for forgiveness, painted himself as someone who had changed, someone who wanted a real connection this time. The words were almost believable, but I had learned to read between the lines. The subtle pauses, the way he avoided looking directly at the camera, the nervous twitch of his hands. They all told a story the words did not. I let him talk, letting him believe he was in control, that I was naive, eager to believe him. I asked questions carefully, casually, avoiding suspicion, each one crafted to encourage him to reveal more about himself. He hesitated at times, then laughed nervously, providing tiny details he thought were inconsequential. But to me, they were golden. Slowly, I pieced together the fragments of truth. The image he had used online wasn't his. The locations he mentioned, the patterns of his messages, and subtle language hints pointed to a real person somewhere across the globe. My heart pounded, not with fear, but with the thrill of discovery. I was finally unmasking him, and he had no idea. Then came the key question, seemingly innocent, yet loaded with purpose. Could we do a proper video call, just to confirm everything? I've never seen your face clearly before. I framed it as trust, as curiosity, as a step toward understanding. He agreed, visibly pleased, probably thinking this would convince me of his honesty. And then it happened. The moment his face appeared clearly, I saw him. The real man behind the fabricated image. His features, expressions, and the faint accent in his voice revealed him fully. He was not who he had pretended to be. He was someone else entirely. A chill ran through me, not from fear, but from the power of knowing finally. I had him. I kept the call going, pretending interest, empathy, even hope. All the while I noted everything. His surroundings, mannerisms, even the reflection in his eyes that hinted at the city he was in. Every detail was a piece of evidence. Every sentence, a thread in the web I was weaving to bring him to justice. Once I had confirmed his identity, I began planning the next steps. I would need law enforcement involved, both in my country and locally where he resided. But first, I needed to keep him unsuspecting. He still thought he had won my trust. I still played the role of the forgiving victim. Days turned into a careful dance. Messages, small confirmations, subtle prodding for details. I gathered enough evidence to map his location accurately. With this information, I contacted authorities, providing them with everything: call logs, message histories, and the video evidence. I explained the scam, the financial losses, and the repeated patterns that suggested he would continue deceiving others. The authorities moved cautiously but efficiently. They coordinated internationally, tracing him to his city. Meanwhile, I maintained contact, still pretending to entertain his hope for a relationship. The suspense was unbearable. Every message, every delay in response made me anxious. Would he catch on? Would he suspect my motives? I had to remain perfect in my act. Finally, the day came when law enforcement confirmed they were ready to move. They had everything: proof, identity, and the legal framework to ensure he could not escape. And I had the ultimate satisfaction waiting: the ability to watch as justice was served, knowing that he could no longer harm anyone else. The trap had been successful. Years of patience, investigation, and careful planning were about to culminate in a moment of truth. The man who had once deceived me, who had stolen not only money, but trust and peace of mind, was about to face the consequences of his actions. And I would witness it all, silently, knowing that every step I had taken was leading to this inevitable reckoning. The news came quietly at first, confirmation that he had been located and detained. I felt a strange mixture of relief and disbelief. After years of tracking, planning, and waiting, it was finally happening. I had watched him carefully, documented every word, every motion, and now the authorities were stepping in to ensure he could not deceive anyone else. I arranged a final video call, not with him, but to witness the initial stages of the legal process. The man who had once commanded my attention, manipulated my trust, and destroyed part of my life, now looked small, nervous, and exposed. I could see the apprehension in his eyes, the subtle panic as he realized the reach of law enforcement. It was justice, measured, deliberate, and legally irreversible. The trial was methodical. I watched from afar as the evidence I had meticulously gathered was presented. Messages, calls, and the video proof of his real identity became the foundation of the prosecution. Every lie he had spun unraveled in the courtroom, thread by thread. And when the judge pronounced his sentence, a wave of satisfaction washed over me. It wasn't vengeance I felt. It was closure. The quiet but powerful sense that the scales had been balanced. Part of that closure included the recovery of some of the money and property he had taken. Law enforcement worked diligently to trace accounts, seize assets, and ensure partial restitution for the victims, myself included. It wasn't all, but it was enough to remind him, and anyone watching, that deceit carries consequences. As I reflected on the journey, the months of planning, and the years of pain, I realized how much I had learned, not just about vigilance, but about patience, strategy, and the importance of understanding the digital world we live in. I had been a victim once, but now I had turned the experience into something instructive, a lesson for others who might fall prey to similar scams. This story isn't just mine. It's a warning, a guide, and a call to action. Scammers operate everywhere, exploiting trust, hope, and sometimes desperation. But with awareness, careful verification, and a willingness to investigate, we can protect ourselves. My experience shows that patience and strategy can lead to justice without resorting to harmful acts. And it proves that no one is beyond accountability. If you've watched my story, I hope you take it to heart. Be careful who you trust online. Question offers that seem too good to be true. Look for the signs. Document interactions. And if something feels wrong, don't ignore it. Protect yourself, your finances, and your peace of mind. And for those who want to hear more real stories, to understand how scams work, and to learn how people have fought back, I invite you to subscribe to the Scammers Karma channel. Each story shares experiences like mine, stories of deceit, vigilance, and survival. So you can stay informed, stay alert, and never be caught off guard. In the end, my story is about more than justice. It's about learning, resilience, and empowerment. It's about understanding that while scammers may seem clever, Truth and persistence always have their place. And it's about using what I've learned to protect not just myself, but anyone who might fall into the same trap. So remember my journey. Take the lesson seriously and let it guide your actions online. Scammers are real, but so is the power of awareness. Let my story be your guide, and let Scammers Karma be the place where you learn, prepare, and protect yourself from the people who would try to deceive you.